So obviously this is your first podcast you've ever done, so you're gonna have to show the viewers and give them a brief introduction about yourself. Tell them your name, where you're from, just let them know what's up.
So my name is Ben Keswick. I'm a 20-year-old ICT futures trader. I'm originally from Poland, but I grew up in the UK, and that's about it. That's a short, brief introduction.
So the question that a lot of people are wondering is, what is your win rate currently?
So currently I'm sitting at around an 83% win rate, but of course, on a year basis, that's definitely not realistic, and I would say it's leaning towards a more 60 to 70% win rate for the whole year.
So where did it all start? How many years have you actually been trading for?
Right, so I started trading when I was around 16 years old in school. So I've been trading nearly around 5 years now. And the first time I really stumbled upon trading was through YouTube. Right, you know, back in the days, you'd get these YouTube ads with a bunch of gurus flexing Lambos, etc. And that's how I initially stumbled on trading. And I seen the lifestyle it brings, and straight away I was intrigued. But yeah, that's how I got started with trading.
So Ben, tell me a little bit. There's so many other businesses out there, and you chose trading. Which other businesses did you originally start with, and what led you to the point that you was actually going to pursue trading for a living?
I've tried many businesses: Amazon FBA, dropshipping, reselling, any business that you can think of, I've pretty much tried it. Yeah, so the first actual business that I started to make a little bit of money from was eBay reselling. So I'm not sure if you guys remember, but when the PS5 came out, it was a very high demand item and everyone was trying to get their hands on that PS5. So I was actually in a group in the time where they would send a link into this group with the checkout link to the PS5. So I'd be buying these consoles, Xboxes, PlayStations below retail price, and then I'd sell them above retail price on eBay. And that's how I initially started to make somewhat of a profit online.
Okay, great. So with that business, which you originally first started, how much money were you making per month?
So I was making around £100 profit per item. All right, apologies for that, guys. We were just talking about how much little money that is compared to what we're making now, and we found it funny. But anyways, let's get on with the podcast. So I was making around £100 per PS5 that I sold. So I was getting around 7 PS5s a week. So 7 times 100, obviously I was making around £700 per week. So times that by 4 in a month, we were making around £2,800. So pretty basic salary that anyone can get from a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, and it's a business which isn't really too sustainable because you're always looking for the new products and hot products which are currently rare on the market and they go off instantly. So some months you may not have anything like a PS5 to resell, and that's a business which you have to be careful about. That's why it's not something you pursued and continued with.
Exactly, it's very short term, it's not that sustainable as you said, and eventually the demand for the PS5 just stopped, and then that was my income gone, so.
Yeah. So back to trading, what was the major turning point and shift in your trading career that actually turned you profitable?
It's very simple. I just got tired of blowing accounts and being broke. You know, I kept on buying challenge after challenge, pretty much just spending my entire paycheck on these evaluations, and it got to the point where I just got sick of it. And then I stumbled upon ICT, and that's when it started to click for me, and I started following my rules, my trading plan, the trading model that I'm actually supposed to trade, not just taking any single setup on the chart that I see. And once I actually stuck to that trading plan, followed a proper risk management plan and had discipline, that is when I started to see a shift in my trading career and profitability started to come in.
Perfect. So just for the both of us, ICT was definitely the turning point in our trading career. Obviously, we've been gone from trading normal supply and demand, moving averages, indicators, and we're not seeing any sort of progress, no sort of profitability. And as soon as we stumbled across ICT, that was the turning point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been trading 2 to 3 years, just retail nonsense, right? Support and resistance, supply and demand, all of these trading patterns that you guys see online, right, on YouTube. And once I stumbled upon ICT within my third year, that is when it started to click for me. And once I actually gone through ICT's mentorships and videos on this channel, like the 2022 ICT mentorship, also went through the core content month 1 to month 12. Around 6 months towards a year, that is when it started to actually click for me. And I found my trading model, I found consistency in the markets, and I actually started to see some profitability within my third year of trading.
Yeah. So back when you was new to trading, explain how your risk management was then compared to how it is now.
Oh wow, I mean, the risk management back then was non-existent, right? We would be going all in on one trade, but pretty much I was just taking every single setup that I seen on the charts. There was no risk management. However, my risk management now has obviously significantly changed. I only risk a certain amount per trade idea, okay? So going into the markets, I accept the risk before I put on a trade. So already I'm going in without any expectations. And if the trade loses, therefore I'm not disappointed because we're not expecting any sort of return from that trade.
That's it. You take the trade, you accept the risk, and if it's a loss, then you obviously half your position size and stay at that until you have a winning trade, so on and so forth.
Exactly.
And risk management is the key to trading. This is why a lot of traders actually fail. They may know how to trade already, but they don't have the correct risk management and patience in place in order to actually fulfill what they already know.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is your view and take on different prop firms, and which prop firms would you recommend?
I think prop firms are a great thing, right? You don't really need live funds anymore to actually make money from trading. Anyone can just come into this industry, buy an evaluation challenge, pass that, and get funded and get a payout. So I think they're great.
Yeah.
The two prop firms that I recommend to all my students are number one, TopStep, and second one, Apex. So both of these prop firms are futures prop firms. We don't trade forex. And in my opinion, I think TopStep is the superior prop firm compared to Apex because they have less rules. It's easier to get paid out. It's slightly more expensive compared to Apex. However, they only have one rule, and that is simply don't break the drawdown. Okay. However, Apex, they have all these different rules, and you have to really be on top of your game. So if you're not an experienced trader, I wouldn't recommend going with Apex because you might break a rule that you're not even aware of, right? And then you won't get that payout. So that can be a lot of time wasted.
Yeah, 100%. And what you've seen over the past few years in the trading industry, what's happened to many forex prop firms, they've actually gone bankrupt and scammed a lot of people.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the long-term and sustainability of actually using prop firms, or do you think traders should transition over to a live account?
Yeah, so I think the end goal for every single trader should be to transition to a live account, like you said. So get as many payouts as you possibly can and use that money to fund a live account, because these prop firms, they're not going to be around in a few years. You know, they could be gone.
The amount of money we're both making on Apex and TopStep is not sustainable in the long run for these prop firms, and especially with people taking our trades. You know, that's like 500x of what we're making on Apex. So it's just a matter of time. We can't guarantee they're going to be here in a year's time from now.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, guys, on a prop firm account, you are trading simulated funds. So you're literally getting paid out from the 99% of people that are blowing these challenges.
You're literally,
and that's how the prop firm pays you out. So that's not a sustainable business model.
No, and you know what makes me laugh? I see a lot of traders in this industry now where they've created their own prop firm, which funds traders off demo accounts and pays traders out of losing accounts, and they're traders themselves. And honestly, it just blows my mind. It doesn't make sense.
That's ridiculous.
At all. I don't understand the concept of that. So one who's new to trading and someone who's also watching this podcast for the first time, they're new to trading, how much money does someone need to start trading?
You don't actually need that much money nowadays to start trading. I would recommend around $500 is a good amount to start. All you really need is one evaluation account and then obviously pay the activation fee once you get funded. So let's say you go with TopStep, that's a $50 account for a 50K account, right? And you pay $150 to activate that account. You're sitting at around $200, right? So you don't need that much money to start trading, but for sure, I'd recommend you get some more money behind you, as obviously $500 is nothing, right?
So there's a lot of ICT traders, both trading Forex and futures. What is the reason why you trade NASDAQ futures over trading Forex? Is the price action better, or do you find it more liquid and it moves a lot cleaner?
I find Forex to be more manipulated compared to futures. Futures, in my opinion, the price action is just way cleaner and it has no spreads. So if you enter at a certain price, you're going to get executed at that exact price that you entered at. With Forex, I've heard traders, you know, they enter at this price and they get executed at this price. So they just get screwed with the spreads and on the execution. So that's why I chose futures.
But same for me as well. I much prefer to trade NASDAQ. It's definitely a lot cleaner and a lot easier to read.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people who are actually watching this podcast maybe for the first time don't understand how much money we're making over these sites. What is one of your biggest days, and what is one of your biggest losing days as well? So transparency on both sides.
Yeah, so one of my biggest days was actually the other day, is around $37,000, and one of my biggest losing days is around $12,000.
And how many handles roughly is final TP usually? Where would you usually set your take profits along the way of the trade?
I like to take partials when I'm in a trade. I know some people enter a trade and they'll hold that trade until it hits their objective. I like to be safe and reduce my risk as price is going in my direction. So I will take partials along the way. Usually my first TP is around some sort of swing high or swing low, of course depending which direction you are trading, and that's usually around 30 to 40 handles. If there is no swing high or swing low to target, I will just target a buy side or sell side liquidity level, but usually my final TP is at some sort of external buy side or sell side liquidity level, meaning outside of the range, or in some cases I will target session liquidity, so this means Asia highs, London highs, and that will roughly be for around 100 to 170 handles in profit.
Okay, so for people who are new to ICT, they don't understand when they should be approaching the charts for the New York session. So they already know, and for people who are new, we don't trade the London session, do we?
No, we don't.
When you approach price for the New York AM session, what's your morning routine looking like as you approach price for the New York AM session?
Yeah, so over here in Thailand, obviously the time zone is slightly different. So we're trading at 9:30 p.m. instead of a.m. So usually I'd hop on my trading setup at around 8:30 to 9 p.m. So that gives me more than enough time to do my analysis, figure out where the market is heading to next. And I'll usually mark out my key points such as buy side liquidity, sell side liquidity, London lows, London highs, things of that nature. Any order blocks or breaker blocks on the higher time frames such as the daily, the 4-hour, etc. And I like to do my main analysis on the 15-minute time frame, as I believe it is the cleanest time frame to be looking at, but you do also want to have a higher time frame analysis to see where price is drawing towards.
Okay, perfect. So regarding your entries, what time frame would you usually enter and engage with price on?
I'm usually entering on the 1 minute time frame, so anywhere from the 1 minute to the 5 minute max. I don't go over the 5 minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
And regarding on daily bias, there's a big controversy over people so involved and focused on getting a bias for that macro that they actually miss the fact that there's a short setup and they're so focused on a long. What's your take on a daily bias?
In my opinion, you don't really need bias, okay? It's good to have some sort of a bias going into the morning, but don't get too stuck up on that bias and marry that bias, all right? I see a lot of traders, they say they're only looking for longs that day, and a short setup will appear, but they won't take it, right? Because they're so short-sighted and they're focused only on longs, right? Even though price is telling them there is a short setup. So in my opinion, I like to react to what price is showing me, not try to predict.
Yeah, 100%. People get way too caught up on bias and they don't even know or understand what's actually going on in front of them instead of reading price and taking what price is actually giving you.
Yeah.
So one question that I'm sure a lot of people have, maybe it's their first time ever approaching ICT, we've struck another audience which is in ICT. Can anyone learn ICT?
Yeah, for sure. I believe anyone can learn ICT. However, you do need some sort of a basic understanding of trading, right? You can't just come into ICT and expect to understand what he's actually talking about. I think if you have prior experience in trading and a little bit of knowledge, then for sure, anyone can come into ICT and you'll be able to understand the terminology. But if you're completely new to ICT, it's going to be a little bit confusing.
100%. There's a lot of people who are new to trading and approaching ICT can be extremely overwhelming these days, especially because there's so many different concepts and ICT doesn't stop. He says he's going away and he keeps coming back and making more content. So for someone who's new, where would the number one mentorship, where's the best place and go-to place for someone who's new to ICT?
So for someone that's completely new to ICT, I would recommend the core content, month 1 to month 12, okay? Inside of that mentorship, ICT is gonna break down the absolute basics of trading. And I'll also watch some basic tutorials on YouTube, okay? How to read a candlestick, how to read a chart, basic trading terminology, all right? Some of these things may be considered retail. However, you do need to know these things in order to even understand the concepts that ICT talks about.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. The core content and 2022 mentorship is mostly all you need in order to be profitable. Disregarding strategies, because I see many podcasts on YouTube, people always talk about what strategy do you trade, but the number one thing is risk management. And this is what a lot of people, they don't cover the topic of risk management enough. It doesn't matter whether you're trading SMC, ICT, it's all the same thing, or you're trading supply and demand and other trading strategies which are out there. But if you don't have the correct risk management, you're not going to be profitable in any realm of trading.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the strategy you're trading doesn't really matter, okay? As long as it's proven to be profitable, that's all that matters. And after that, you just need to focus on psychology and risk management.
100%. And obviously, you know, we've both worked 9 to 5s, we've worked many jobs, and personally myself, you know, I've been sacked from every single job in my local town at this point, and you've been sacked from many jobs yourself. What is your take on working a job and trying to balance trading at the same time?
Yeah, so if you're working a regular 9 to 5 job and you're trying to trade at the same time, I would highly recommend that you get a job that fits around the time the market opens. All right, so for the UK, this was actually perfect. Me and him were working a night shift job at the time inside of a warehouse, all right, dealing parcels. And I would work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., right? Go home, sleep for a few hours, and wake up for the New York AM session, which is around 2:30 p.m. UK time, and that worked perfectly for me. I could balance work and trade at the same time. However, if you're working day shifts and you're trying to trade whilst you're on the shift, that's just not going to work. It's not realistic. Your boss is going to come in when you're taking a trade, and your psychology, managing the trade, etc., is going to be absolutely terrible because you're just too distracted at work. You have to be at home, in silence, locked in a good trading environment in order to actually succeed.
Yeah, it's not going to work where people are trying to work and trade at the same time. You can't mix the two together.
Yeah.
And what is your thoughts on people stacking up maybe $5,000 or $10,000 and going off to different countries or quitting their job in general and going all in trading? Do you think that's a good idea, or do you think they should try balance maybe a couple shifts a week and try learn and master their model with ICT?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea as long as you have a profitable strategy that you know it works and it's proven, and you have been trading for a certain amount of time. Okay, you've seen consistency, you've seen profitability, then yeah, I'd highly recommend that you quit your job and go all into trading. However, this could be bad as well, because if you quit your job and you need to pay bills like rent, your phone bill, etc., you may become dependent on trading as an income. And you don't want to be in that sort of mindset of having to win the next trade and be desperate, right? Because that's going to absolutely destroy your psychology and your risk management, and it will actually do the opposite, so you won't succeed in trading.
So obviously many people watching this podcast, they're going to be new to trading or extremely experienced with trading, and they're going to still obviously deal with losing streaks, as it's inevitable. It happens to everyone. How do you approach people who ask you these questions on a daily on how to deal with revenge trading and also manage their emotions inside of a losing streak?
It's very simple. Just stop doing it. It's as simple as that. I know it sounds easier than it is. However, what really helped me is accepting the risk before you go into a trade. All right, so if you go into a trade and before you even press any buttons, right, if you tell yourself, I'm accepting this amount of risk, and if I take a loss or win, doesn't matter the outcome, I don't care. Your psychology in that trade is going to be 10 times better compared to someone who hasn't done that, all right, because the person not doing that, they're expecting their trade to be a winner, okay? They're expecting a good outcome. And what happens when that trade is a loser? They're going to be disappointed. They're going to be emotional. They're going to re-enter on that trade and start revenge trading. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, 100%. You know, a lot of people, they struggle with revenge trading because they see a lack of progress and a lack of payouts, because they think, you know, they've been sat there all day, they need to pay themselves. They may be down $500 on the day and maybe break even for the week or the month.
Yeah.
And there's so many unrealistic expectations out there where people think that they're going to be making 80,000, 100,000 or even 500K every single month. But no, not every single month you're going to be closing out with extreme gains. Some months you will going to have a break-even month. Some weeks you're going to have a break-even week. And don't let that get to the best of you and start revenge trading, trying to turn a good month into a bad month. So a lot of people may be wondering, what is your go-to model which you trade every single day?
My go-to model is the unicorn model, right? So for those that are not already familiar with this model, I cover this strategy all over my channel. You can go check that out. In short, all it is a breaker block that is paired with an FEG, and you can either enter off the breaker block or the fair value gap, and most of the times it works very, very well. But yeah, that's my go-to model. I do also trade the silver bullet, which is a 2022 ICT mentorship. This consists of a sweep of liquidity, either buy side or sell side liquidity, then a clear displacement in the opposing direction, creating a market structure shift, either below a short-term low or short-term high, depending on the direction you are trading. And then of course, price will even and balance or FEG behind, which you'll get your entry on that retracement leg into the fair value gap, stop loss above the high, and then target the opposing liquidity. Very simple.
When you are to take a trade like that, what is the max amount of risk per trade in handles, which you usually risk?
Yeah, so usually I'm risking around 25 handles. I don't like to risk more than this. However, on NFP weeks, where the candles tend to be slightly larger. The maximum I'll risk is around 30 handles, but usually I stick to that 25 handle risk.
Would you ever consider dropping your position size down to say only, one contract instead of trading multiple contracts and risk, say, 50 handles? Do you ever do that or no?
Absolutely not. That's not something I would ever consider doing. Risking 50 handles, in my opinion, is just way too much.
Yeah.
And you're clearly not on side with the market.
Yeah, it's just not the correct trade if you're risking more than 25 handles
Yeah.
on a trade. Okay, so let's just say you was monitoring the AM session and you caught no trades, and now you have to approach the PM. What key liquidity levels for the PM session would you look to mark out?
Yeah, so I would mark out anything that happened inside of the New York session, so the high and low of that session, and I'll use that as buy side and sell side liquidity. And I will also mark out lunch highs and lunch lows, but rarely do I trade the PM session, especially here in Thailand where the time zone is very late. I'll have to stay up to around 2 to 3 a.m, which I don't really have the energy to do.
Is there some days of the week that you would not even consider approaching the PM session, such as a Monday?
Yeah, so Mondays and Fridays, I won't be trading the PM at all, because I've found that these days are mostly low probability, especially if the Monday is no news. It's always the mid of the week, so Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, which I make the majority of my profits and my winning trades. And Mondays and Fridays, I tend to either not make as much or it will be a losing day. So I like to size down on these days and expect very slow price action.
And people want to know, people watching you for the first time and people watching you all the way since the start. Then where have you been for the past 6 months? What happened?
So for people that don't know, I was in a bike crash. We were in Thailand, Pattaya at the time, and I was just getting way too active on the bike. I rented a 900cc Kawasaki Z900, very, very big bike, very fast. I was wearing absolutely no gear, shirtless, just shorts, that's it.
You think we can flick up a few photos of the knee on the podcast or we'll get banned?
I think it'll get demonetized.
It'll get taken down, mate. It's a tragic knee. You can just about see it through the trousers, but it was a tragic crash. And he's back, he's walking, even hitting leg days in the gym now. We're not slacking over these sides. And for you lot who watch the podcast and don't go gym, click off. We don't want you watching us.
But yeah, guys, I've made a very good recovery. Of course, my left leg is never going to be the same as my right leg, but as long as I have my leg, that's all that matters.
I mean, you could have lost your leg, so it could have been very bad. But even in the hospital bed, you're securing 110 handles, 130 handles, final TP getting smashed in the hospital bed.
Yeah.
It's never going to stop us.
Yeah, and we're back, and we're still riding bikes, so that's that.
Yeah, honestly, we was in Dubai around a couple days ago. We go country to country more than your friend catches the bus. And just the other day we was in Dubai, I got a R1M, which is like one of the fastest bikes you can get. It competes up with like a V4 Ducati. I was going 300.
Yeah.
What bike did you get?
I took it easy. I got a Ninja ZX6R.
You took it easy, did you?
Yeah, I took it easy. Only like 230 kilometers an hour,
Yeah, only
standard, but
230 standard, we're cruising around just having a good time.
Yeah.
For all these traders around the world, whether you trade ICT or any other concept, do you think there's a country which actually suits traders the most? Which one would you recommend?
So in my opinion, I think there are 2 countries that traders should be in, right? So number 1 is Dubai, obviously for tax reasons. If you are a very successful trader and you're making very good money, Miami is the place to be, okay? 100%. Miami literally has everything, okay? You've got the beach, you've got the females, the restaurants, quality top places that you can experience if you have the funds to afford these type of things. And in my opinion as well, it's the best time zone to be in if you're a trader.
Yeah, it's decent. I mean, the market opens, East Coast, New York time, and you're done and wrapped up by maximum 12 p.m.
Yeah, exactly.
And also you've got all these women coming in from different countries like Puerto Rico, Colombia. Like, how many times have we been to Colombia in the past year?
Oh, many times.
Many times. We can't stop going. There's a reason why. Don't start flying there because, they're all pretty much taken. They're all, waiting for the big bosses to land back.
Yeah.
Miami is, I agree, one of the best spots in the world for traders and lifestyle in general. So kind of wrapping up this podcast now, and people who are watching you for the first time, where can they find you on social media?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at ICT Keswick. This is the same app for every single platform. So I'm on YouTube and I'm on TikTok as well. Not really too active on there, but you can find me on those platforms.
Yeah, 100%. Subscribe, like, you know, run up his following.
Yeah, we're getting to 20K soon.
He's about to hit 20K on Instagram, so this video will push him above 20K, without a doubt. Let's push for 50, even 100. And there's been many people commenting on all of your videos recently. How can they watch you trade live?
All the links will be left in the description. You can sign up through the Whoop platform. Everything's on there, and I go live every single morning at New York Open on YouTube, so a link is always sent in to the Telegram chat every single morning. But yeah, that's where you can tune in.
That's pretty much it. The two best in the game, wrapping up the podcast. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Subscribe, like, comment, and let's run this video up to 100,000 views minimum.